About 60% of office workers admit they can't go half an hour without getting distracted, and more than 30% of teenagers say their phones make it harder to concentrate in class. Researchers discovered that, back in 2004, our average attention span was around 2.5 minutes. Today, it barely reaches 1. A recent study shows that college students can focus on a single task for only 65 seconds before drifting away. Writer Johann Hari calls this a true attention crisis. And he's clear about one thing: the problem isn't a lack of individual willpower, it's the environment we live in. He warns that without focus, even democracy cannot survive, because people lose the ability to think critically and hold power accountable. In other words, the loss of attention isn't just a personal weakness. It's a threat to truth, to society, and to our future. Regaining focus has become an act of responsibility, first toward ourselves, then toward others. Think about it. A library full of books, and everyone staring at their phones. That's the image of our time. Smartphones and social media have become thieves of focus. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok are designed to addict us. They offer small rewards, likes, notifications, short videos, that flood the brain with dopamine and make us crave more and more. Over time, this erodes our patience and our capacity for depth. It's gone so far that there's even a term for it: TikTok brain, a state in which deep thinking becomes almost impossible. And it's not just a feeling, science confirms it. A 2024 study found that people addicted to short videos have less impulse control and more difficulty concentrating. The more time we spend scrolling, the weaker the parts of the brain responsible for focus and self-control become. Other research shows something similar. Excessive screen use reduces the brain waves linked to attention and planning. In short, the more scrolling, the less depth. And the worst part is, none of this is accidental. It's design. Every notification, every alert, every update is crafted to pull us away from whatever truly matters. Former Google design ethicist Tristan Harris calls this the attention economy. Tech giants have found a way to profit from our mental time. Every second of distraction is money. Algorithms are fine-tuned to capture the gaze, to manipulate emotion, to exploit psychological weakness. In practice, that means less time thinking and more time consuming. Consuming short videos, quick information, constant stimulation driven by dopamine. As Hari himself says, we shape our tools, and then they shape us. This digital trap spares no one. Studies show that most adults now spend around 80% of their online time inside social media platforms. Constant screen use conditions the brain to seek immediate rewards, making it harder and harder to focus on anything that requires patience. Just look around. In every place, in meetings, on buses, in classrooms, there's always someone with their eyes glued to a screen. In schools, the effects are even more visible. A recent survey revealed that nearly 1/3 of teenagers lose focus in class because of their phones. These habits don't just steal minutes from the day, they steal hours of mental clarity. Gradually, they erode our ability to sustain attention, to follow complex ideas, and to truly understand what we read. That is the real root of the attention crisis we face today. Johann Hari points to another illusion: the myth of multitasking. We live surrounded by notifications, alerts, and constant information that make us believe we can do everything at once. But it's a lie. Our brains weren't made for that. Every time we stop what we're doing to check a message, we pay a price, the switching cost. Each interruption forces the brain to reconfigure itself, making us slower, more prone to mistakes, and more likely to forget what we were doing. As Hari explains, this constant task switching comes at a high cost. We sacrifice depth and absorb less and less. One study found that workers are interrupted, on average, every 3 minutes. Each of these interruptions weakens working memory, reduces focus, and drains mental energy. Among students, the effect is the same. Those who try to study while messaging perform up to 20% worse than those who give their full attention. But the risks go far beyond school or the office. Being distracted while driving, for example, causes 1 in 5 serious accidents. All of this reveals a simple but uncomfortable truth. The more we interrupt ourselves, the less efficient we become. The irony is that the only thing no one wants to interrupt today is the next short video. Hari says that the loss of deep reading has created a vicious cycle. The more we get used to fragmented content, the less patience we have for long texts. Our brains evolved to process information gradually, but now they're forced to swallow it in crumbs. Decades ago, Neil Postman had already foreseen this. He warned that modern media was becoming increasingly shallow and entertainment-driven, leading to the loss of context, depth, and meaning. In his book, Amusing Ourselves to Death, Postman showed how television turned everything— politics, news, religion, even education— into pure spectacle. Today, the internet and social media are simply the continuation of that logic. Information now has to be short, flashy, and sensational to compete for our attention. A neuroscientist explains that these platforms are built for speed and constant stimulation, which makes us focus only on the visual and emotional impact instead of understanding the content in depth. The result? Most of what we consume gets trapped in short-term memory, and deep thinking becomes harder than ever. Our digital environment now resembles Aldous Huxley's dystopia far more than George Orwell's. In Brave New World, Huxley described a society that traded freedom for constant pleasure and consumption. One of the book's slogans said, "Ending is better than mending." The message was clear: no attachment, no reflection, just endless consumption. The characters lived anesthetized, believing that reading books was a waste of time because, as one of them says, you can't consume much when you sit and read. And that critique sounds frighteningly familiar. Today, we also grow restless if we spend a few minutes without scrolling a screen, refreshing a feed, or receiving a new stimulus. Huxley predicted exactly this: a world where history is forgotten, books are abandoned, and people are distracted into losing their very consciousness. A culture obsessed with comfort and convenience slowly kills curiosity and critical thought. Another author, Ray Bradbury, issued the same warning in Fahrenheit 451. In his story, books are not only banned, they're ignored. People simply stop caring about them, preferring empty distractions instead. In one of the most symbolic scenes, Captain Beatty says that to keep everyone happy, you just need to show only one side of the story, or none at all. That way no one feels uncomfortable. And the character Faber adds, "Books are feared because they reveal what we try to hide, the imperfections of life and the inconvenient truths we refuse to face." That prediction has also come true. Today, we prefer content that confirms what we already believe instead of seeking what challenges us. In practice, we censor ourselves by choosing the comfort of distraction over the discomfort of reflection. Neil Postman himself bridged Huxley's warnings with the modern world. He once said, "What Huxley feared was not that someone would burn books, but that no one would want to read them." And that is exactly what we see today. Rates of reading for pleasure have dropped by nearly 40% in the past 2 decades. With so many quick and constant stimuli, young people simply don't have the mental space to dive into a book. This isn't just a bad habit, it's a profound cultural shift. Binge-watching shows late into the night may bring momentary pleasure, but offers little learning. As Postman said, television turned everything into entertainment. And when entertainment becomes society's main lens, everyone may have the right to an opinion. But not everyone earns the right to be taken seriously. On social media, deep thought is drowned out by memes, outrage, and catchy phrases. Complexity disappears, and the result is a mind conditioned by quick rewards, unable to sustain attention, reflect deeply, or truly understand what it sees. There is a far deeper and more underestimated factor in this attention crisis. And it's not just on the screens. Beyond technology and culture, our very biology and environment now conspire against focus. Johann Hari dedicates part of his work to showing how physical and social forces are fragmenting our minds. One of the main culprits is sleep deprivation. Modern life pushes the body to its limits. Long work hours, artificial light, and constant stimulation late into the night. Sleep scientists warn that chronic lack of rest destroys creativity, memory, mood, and concentration. Just one bad night can cut focus in half and double irritability. Yet many still take pride in pulling all-nighters, working or scrolling through the internet, not realizing that it's the perfect recipe for an exhausted and scattered mind. Hari also highlights another critical point. The rise in ADHD diagnoses may not be only genetic. It might also be tied to poor nutrition and exposure to toxins. Heavy metals, pesticides, and chemicals in processed foods affect the nervous system and undermine attention from an early age. Many turn to medication, ignoring these invisible causes. Changes in urban lifestyles make it even worse. Children hardly play outside anymore. In the past, running, falling, exploring nature, all of that trained focus, perception, and resilience. Today, childhood happens indoors, under constant supervision, with a screen in every corner. This double blow, less movement and more digital stimulation, robs new generations of the chance to develop true attention. Mental health closes the circle. Anxiety, depression, and chronic stress make concentration almost impossible. The excess of dopamine and constant comparison on social media raise cortisol levels, which slowly erode memory and focus. It's a vicious cycle. Digital stress feeds anxiety, and anxiety destroys attention even more. All of this proves that the crisis of focus doesn't come only from the outside. It moves through the body, the mind, and the culture. We are shaped at every moment by what we choose to contemplate. And as Neil Postman said, we become what we behold. If we spend our days trapped in endless scrolling, we become shallow. But if we return to contemplating challenging ideas, meaningful work, and the silence of reflection, we reclaim what is essential: depth, clarity, and presence. Our attention has been stolen, but it can still be reclaimed. The task is simple, though not easy: to remember the value of focus before the world convinces us to forget it. This is the Inner Odyssey, and thank you for watching.